The principal's office smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaning spray. Late afternoon sun cut through the Venetian blinds in yellow stripes across the conference table. I could hear the wall clock ticking, each second deliberate and loud. My wife sat 2 chairs away from me, not beside me. That distance said everything before anyone spoke. "Mr. Garrett, we need to discuss your son's behavior," Principal Morris said, folding her hands on the table. "And frankly, the environment at home that might be contributing to it." I opened my mouth to respond, but Jennifer cut me off. "He gets it from his father," she said. Her voice was flat, matter-of-fact. "The anger, the need to control everything. I've been dealing with it for years." I didn't shout. I didn't defend myself. My hands stayed flat on the table. Something in my chest went very still. "That's quite an accusation," the vice principal said, glancing between us. Jennifer kept going. "Our son sees how his father treats me, the constant criticism, the way he shuts down any conversation he doesn't want to have. It's no wonder Ethan acts out at school." They were wrong, all of them. But in that moment, watching my wife rewrite our entire marriage in front of strangers, I understood something. She'd been preparing this story for a while. She just hadn't expected me to have been preparing too. "My name is David Garrett. I'm 52 years old, and I'd been married to Jennifer for 16 years. I work in compliance management for a mid-sized logistics company. My job is finding discrepancies, documenting patterns, making sure the numbers tell the truth. At home, I'd stopped doing that. I'd stopped questioning the discrepancies. Our marriage looked stable from the outside. House in a decent neighborhood, 2 cars, 1 son, Ethan, 14 years old and struggling. We had family dinners most nights. We went to parent-teacher conferences together. We split the bills, or so I thought. But there were small erasures. Jennifer would make plans without asking me, then act surprised when I mentioned I'd assumed we'd discuss it first. My input on Ethan's discipline was too harsh or not helpful. When I suggested we needed to address his grades more seriously, she'd sigh and say, "You just don't understand how kids work." I coached his soccer team for 3 years. I helped with homework every night. But somehow, I didn't understand. Money became a quiet battleground. Joint account for household expenses, separate accounts for personal spending. Except the joint account kept draining faster than it should. When I asked about it, Jennifer would get defensive. "Are you accusing me of something? I'm taking care of our son while you're at work." I let it go. I let a lot go. That was my flaw. I thought patience was the same as strength. I thought silence was peace. The morning we got called to the school, Ethan had been suspended for 3 days. He'd gotten into a fight with another student, something about a girl and accusations thrown around in the cafeteria. The school wanted both parents present for what they called a serious discussion about behavioral patterns in home environment. Jennifer drove separately. She said she had an appointment afterward and couldn't wait for me. I should have noticed that. I should have asked why she needed her own car for a meeting that would take maybe an hour. We sat in that conference room with Principal Morris, Vice Principal Chen, and the school counselor, Mrs. Davidson. They had a folder open in front of them. Incident reports, teacher observations, counselor notes from sessions I didn't know Ethan was having. "Ethan has expressed some concerning things in our sessions," Mrs. Davidson said carefully, "about tension at home, about feeling caught in the middle of parental conflict." "There is conflict," Jennifer said before I could respond. "David has very rigid ideas about discipline, about respect. He doesn't listen when Ethan tries to explain himself." I turned to look at her. "That's not true." "You see?" Jennifer gestured at me. "This is what I mean, immediate defensiveness, no willingness to examine his own behavior." Principal Morris shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Garrett, we're not here to attack you. We're trying to understand the full picture." "Then let me give you the full picture," I said. My voice stayed level. "Ethan's been struggling because he's caught between 2 different sets of rules. I enforce boundaries. His mother undermines them. I tell him no phone after 10. She gives it back. I ground him for lying about homework. She takes him to the mall the next day. I'm not the problem. I'm the only one still trying. That's emotional abuse, Jennifer said. Her voice cracked just slightly, enough to sound genuine. Gaslighting, making me question my own parenting, making our son feel like he has to choose between us. Mrs. Davidson made a note. Vice Principal Chen leaned back in his chair. I could feel the room tipping away from me. I'd like to share something, Jennifer continued. She pulled out her phone. I've been documenting incidents, times when David's lost his temper, things he's said to me in front of Ethan. She started scrolling, reading texts I'd supposedly sent, describing arguments I barely remembered having, now reframed as patterns of control and verbal abuse. Some of it was real, moments when I'd been frustrated or short-tempered, but the context was gone. The triggers were erased. I was just the angry man saying harsh things. I didn't interrupt. I sat there with my hands on the table and let her finish. My heart didn't race. It went slow and heavy, each beat deliberate. When she was done, Principal Morris looked at me with something like pity. Mr. Garrett, I think we need to recommend family counseling, mandatory, as a condition of Ethan returning to school. I agree, I said. Jennifer blinked. She'd expected a fight. I think counseling is exactly what we need, I continued. Full transparency, everything on the table. That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Not broken, just quiet. The meeting ended 20 minutes later. Jennifer left first, her hand on her phone, already texting someone. I stayed behind and asked Principal Morris if I could schedule a follow-up meeting the next week. Of course, she said. We want to support you through this. I drove to a hotel near the airport. Small, clean, anonymous. I sat on the bed with my laptop and phone and started organizing. Not frantically, not in anger. I just started pulling threads. Bank statements from the joint account. 3 months back, then 6, then 12. Patterns emerged. Regular transfers to an account I didn't recognize. Cash withdrawals, always just under the threshold that would trigger automatic notifications. Payments to a credit card I'd never seen. I made a list. I took screenshots. I downloaded statements. Then I went through text messages. Not from Jennifer's phone, I didn't have access to that, but from mine. Threads with Ethan, with my brother, with a few close friends. I read them like I was reading someone else's life. How many times had I apologized for things I didn't do? How many times had I asked Ethan if I'd really said something his mother claimed I said? There was a text from 4 months ago. Ethan had written, "Mom said you called her stupid, did you?" I'd responded, "I never said that. We disagreed about money, but I didn't call her names." His reply, "Okay, just checking." How many times had he needed to check? I called my attorney the next morning, not the family lawyer who'd done our wills, a different one, someone who specialized in custody and divorce. Her name was Margaret Ross, and she'd been recommended by a colleague whose brother had gone through something similar. "Tell me what happened," she said. I told her. The meeting, the accusations, the look on my wife's face when she'd listed my failures in front of strangers. "Do you have documentation?" Margaret asked. "I'm working on it." "Good, keep working. Don't confront her. Don't ask questions. Just document everything." I went back to work the next day, kept my regular schedule, came home at the usual time. Jennifer was polite, almost cheerful. She asked how my day was. She heated up leftovers for dinner. Ethan stayed in his room. "I've been thinking," Jennifer said that night, "maybe we should start with individual counseling before we do family sessions, so we can each work on our own issues first." "That makes sense," I said. She smiled. "I'm glad you're being reasonable about this." Reasonable. That was the word she used. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched her relax. She thought I'd accepted her version of events. She thought I was the problem, and I'd finally admitted it. I met with Margaret 3 times. We built a timeline. We pulled financial records. She had me request documentation from the school. Every incident report, every counselor note, every email between teachers and parents for the last 2 years. What came back was illuminating. Ethan's behavior had escalated 6 months ago, right around the time Jennifer started seeing someone named Marcus. I found his name in her phone bill. Same number, called multiple times a day. Texts at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I didn't know who he was yet, but I knew he mattered. Margaret hired a forensic accountant. The joint account bleeding? Transfers to a separate account Jennifer had opened in her name only. $23,000 over 8 months. Money that was supposed to be for Ethan's college fund, for home repairs, for shared expenses. Then the school sent over the full counselor notes. Mrs. Davidson had documented something interesting. In Ethan's third session, he'd said, "Mom told me I should tell you Dad gets really angry, but I don't know if that's true. He just seems tired." In the fifth session, Mom said it would help Dad if I talked about how he makes me feel bad. But I feel bad because they're fighting, not because of him. In the seventh session, I don't want to lie, but Mom said it's not lying if it helps people understand. I sat in Margaret's office and read those notes twice. My throat felt raw. She coached him, Margaret said. It wasn't a question. She coached him. We need to talk to the school, carefully. 3 days later, I got a call from Vice Principal Chen. "Mr. Garrett, could you come in tomorrow? Without Mrs. Garrett, we've discovered something we need to discuss with you first." I checked the time, 4:17 p.m. "I'll be there at 9. That night, Jennifer asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said I was tired. I went to bed early and lay there in the dark, listening to her move around the house. I heard her laughing on the phone in the kitchen. Low voice, private voice, the voice she used to use with me. I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. The next morning, I arrived at the school at 8:50. Vice Principal Chen and Principal Morris were waiting in the conference room. No counselor this time, just them. "We need to show you something," Principal Morris said. She looked uncomfortable. After our last meeting, Mrs. Davidson reviewed her session recordings. She records sessions with parental consent for training and quality purposes. It's in the paperwork parents sign. She placed a small digital recorder on the table. "This is from a session 2 weeks before the incident that led to Ethan's suspension." She pressed play. Ethan's voice, young and uncertain. "I don't know what to say, Mrs. Davidson. Just tell me how you're feeling about things at home." Long pause. Then Jennifer's voice, faint but clear, from somewhere in the background. "Tell her about the yelling." My chest tightened. Mrs. Davidson on the recording. "Mrs. Garrett, you're supposed to wait in the lobby during sessions." Jennifer, louder now. "I know, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure he remembered to mention." The recording clicked off. Principal Morris looked at me. "We have 3 more recordings where Mrs. Garrett either interrupted sessions or was caught coaching Ethan in the hallway before appointments. We missed it at first because she was subtle, but when we went back and listened carefully, she didn't finish. She didn't need to." "We owe you an apology," Vice Principal Chen said. "We made assumptions based on incomplete information." I didn't say anything for a moment. I just sat there, feeling something unlock in my chest. "I want a copy of those recordings," I said finally. "Your attorney already has them. We sent them over this morning." I met with Margaret that afternoon. She'd already filed preliminary paperwork, emergency custody evaluation, financial discovery, request for full disclosure of all accounts and assets. "She's going to panic when she's served," Margaret said. "I know. Don't engage. Don't argue. Let the system work." Jennifer got served 3 days later. I was at work when it happened. She called me 17 times. I didn't answer. She sent texts that evolved from confused to angry to pleading. "What is this? We need to talk right now. You're making a huge mistake. I can explain everything. Please, just talk to me." I didn't respond. I forwarded everything to Margaret. That night I stayed at the hotel. Jennifer showed up at my work the next morning. Security called me before she got to my floor. "There's a woman here demanding to see you. Says she's your wife. Tell her I'm in a meeting and can't be disturbed." I watched from the window as she walked back to her car. Her shoulders were shaking. For just a second, I felt something like sympathy. Then I remembered her voice in that principal's office, calm and certain, listing my failures like facts. The attorney meetings became a pattern. Jennifer's lawyer tried to negotiate, tried to frame it as a misunderstanding, tried to suggest joint counseling and reconciliation. Margaret slid a folder across the table during one of these sessions. Bank statements, phone records, school recordings. Jennifer's attorney went quiet as she read. "My client is willing to discuss settlement," she said finally. "No settlement," I said. "Full custody evaluation, full financial disclosure, full accounting of every dollar taken from joint accounts." Jennifer was crying now. Real tears, not the performance kind. "David, please. I made mistakes, but we can fix this." I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the woman I'd married, the mother of my son, the person I'd built a life with. I saw all of it. "You didn't make mistakes," I said quietly. "You made choices. You chose to lie to our son. You chose to steal money we'd saved together. You chose to humiliate me in front of strangers. You chose who mattered when you told a 14-year-old boy to lie to his counselor." Her face crumpled. "I was scared," she whispered. "Marcus said we could start over. I just needed enough money to—" She stopped. Too late. "Who's Marcus?" her attorney asked. Jennifer didn't answer. I stood up. "We're done here." I walked out first. I didn't wait for her response. I didn't look back. 2 months later, the custody evaluation came back. Primary custody to me, with Jennifer getting supervised visitation until she completed court-mandated counseling. The financial settlement required her to repay every dollar she'd taken, plus my legal fees. I changed the locks on the house the day the papers were finalized. Ethan helped me. We didn't talk much while we worked. When we finished, I made us sandwiches and we sat at the kitchen table. "I'm sorry, Dad," he said, "for what I said, for lying." "You didn't lie. You were coached. That's different." "I should have told you." "You were protecting your mom. I understand that." He nodded. We ate in silence for a while. "Are you angry at her?" he asked. "I'm disappointed, but anger takes energy I don't want to spend on this anymore." The morning after everything was finalized, I woke up early. The house was quiet. I made coffee and stood at the kitchen window, watching the sun come up. Cool air drifted through the screen. The neighborhood was still asleep. Everything felt clean. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt unburdened. Silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop arguing and start documenting. Stop defending and start gathering evidence. Stop trying to convince people who've already made up their minds and start building a case for the ones who haven't. Jennifer got what she chose. I got my son and my clarity. That morning, I wrote Ethan a note and left it on the counter before he woke up. "You don't owe anyone a false story, not even me. Tell the truth, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." If you had been in my place, would you have fought back immediately? Or would you have stayed quiet and built your case like I did? Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Your presence means more than you know. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe. Let's keep walking this road together.